This is the Nasserman Hockey Podcast with James Nichols and John Zeller. And welcome back to another episode of the Nasserman Hockey Podcast, Isles Fix Postgame Live Edition, part 2 this week. With me, as always, is my good buddy John. What's up, pal?
I'm trying to recover after that game.
Yeah.
If I had to describe it, I would say wet fart.
Oh, would you say the wet fart?
I that's all that I could think. All I want to do is blow raspberries into my microphone, and that I can't. Every question you're about to ask me,
Listen,
that's going to be the answer because
yeah.
I just wow.
Yeah, this is definitely not one of those games that, you wanted to see the Islanders play after, looking decent last night against the Senators. And again, you could say what you will about the Senators and how they're the worst team in the league and missing, X amount of key players. Fact of the matter is, and something that we repeatedly say all the time, if they're going to lose a game, it's fine, but you want them to be in the game. And
they can't lose games now. That's
right.
what I think. That was my point.
Too.
I think last night, and just in general, about the game on Sunday. That game is fine. Even just a bad game, start to finish like this one, is fine.
Sure.
In October or November, right? Like one of these games. This is how this team is played. They just are not able to get over that hump. They're not able to kind of win games on some kind of regular basis. I don't know.
Yeah,
they look like the same two teams out there. I'll have to be honest with you. They both didn't look great, and Seattle just kind of capitalized. That was the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. For most of this season, the Kraken haven't really been all cracked up to what everybody thought they were going to be. Yes, a little bit of a pun there. Let me be. It's been a long, late day after that performance. This is how my mind is churning. Okay, so bear with me, people. But anyway, the loss really stems from and continues to stem from low event hockey to start games. No urgency at the beginning of at puck drop. 5 shots in the first period. Just 5 shots.
Was it 6 in the third before they pulled the goalie? It was certainly less than 10 in the third, which is
it was 8 in the third. So the breakdown, 19 shots in total, 5 shots in period 1, 6 shots in period 2, and 8 shots in period 3. And like
19
you said,
is the lowest of the season. Am I
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's pretty low.
I believe I heard Jig say that at the end of the broadcast as I was getting set up here.
Yeah, so something's got to change, when it comes to, and I don't know if, after sitting out for such a long time, and now that they're playing every other night, maybe they're just exhausted. And I'm not trying to look for excuses for them. I'm not sure what it is with the Islanders currently that they are not coming out into games ready to play. This is like 6 games in a row now where at the start of the game, they're pretty much just on cruise control. So what are you seeing in the Islanders starts recently, including tonight, and what might they have to do moving forward to change how they start games?
I think they definitely cruise control is a really good way to put it. I think they're just coming out and they're not focused. They're not coming out with that energy. I think what I said last night was they're not able to dictate play. And I don't know what's ailing them. I know what typically gets things to change on a team really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's some kind of personnel change. And I'm not saying it's Trotz. I'm not saying I don't think Lou is going anywhere, but like something does need to change though. And usually it's something like that. They have to make some kind of trade to be like, look, none of y'all are safe. You need to do that. You need to figure this out together.
So you're saying make a statement trade.
I mean, like, I don't want to do it like in like a hasty trade just because like you're not playing well. We're shipping one of your friends away. Like they're not, like that's treating them like children. I don't think that's
Right.
appropriate. But a
Not good
lot of
for business
times,
either.
what say that again?
Not good for business either.
No, I know because you wind up making you just make a bad hockey trade and you don't
Right.
you don't want that.
Right.
So I think something like that needs to happen. I don't know. I don't like saying that. I don't like that being the answer. But there's something about, and I was thinking about this, thinking about you possibly asking this question. There's something about the current construction of the team that doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I'm not going to sit here after complaining about Komarov and say that. Well, mainly complaining about Komarov being on the first line. That's a different problem. But Komarov may be playing over Wallstrom as well. But there's something about whatever is going on this team as it's constructed that is not working. That you saw things work well the last, we'll call it 3 seasons. But yeah, I mean, because that regular season a few years ago was really, really good. And even though they lost in the second round, they still swept the Penguins in the first round. That was really good. You can't say, well, Anders Lee is back because he was there for the other 2 seasons. So something's going on with the roster. So I
Yeah.
don't know if they just need something needs to get shaken up. It's not time off. They don't need time off. They've had that. That's not worked. Um, it's not either of the goaltenders. Sorokin's obviously the number one at this point. Varlamov has not been able to kind of get back to form after not being in the net to start the season due to injury.
Yep.
He's letting in 2 goals a game essentially. It's not him. If you let in, if forget about the bad first goal, which both goalies seem to be doing lately, the
Yeah, we'll
bad
talk about that.
angles from the
We'll talk
goal
about that.
line. Forget about that for a second. There was still another goal. They still lose the game 1-0. Has
Yeah.
nothing to do with how many goals they had against at this point. They're
Right.
not even able to score goals. I don't think this is as simple as be like, oh yeah, trade for Tarasenko. What are you doing? Get Johnny Gaudreau.
Right.
Get trade for Brock Besser. What do you like? I don't even think that's it, right? I think they need a jolt into the lineup, but something just needs to happen. They need to make some kind of statement. I don't know if that means sit somebody that you wouldn't think. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me too, the way that they're starting is so slow. Is a new thing for them, right? Typically, the Islanders will start a game with the fourth line, the identity line. I'm not seeing that same start from them, and maybe that's where it starts from, right? Constantly we talk about Cizikas being the engine that revs this team. You're not really seeing the Islanders come out and throwing their bodies around, meaning, Martin Cizikas and Clutterbuck to start the games and really get, the guys going on the bench and get a jolt in the crowd even, because, UBS Arena was even kind of quiet tonight, and for a good reason, right? What was there to really cheer about other than Jordan Eberle saying hello to, everybody for his first game back on Long Island again. So, one of the things that I'm definitely seeing is a lack of that energy from Martin, Cizikas, and Clutterbuck, which they start with every night. Basically, they start every game that way.
Yeah, the fourth line looked okay. They had their moments in this game, and that's
Yeah,
fine.
they did, but it's
Like
just
I
the way
won't.
they're starting, right? They
Yeah, they're not
got better
starting
as the
well.
game went on, but they're not starting strong like they normally do.
But it's the whole team. It's not
That's
like
also true.
it's not one line. Like if what the good thing about the Islanders over the years was it was always this next man up mentality. If one line wasn't going, another line was going. We joked, I think we even still do to some respect, although I don't they're all Z minus lines as far as I'm concerned. They don't have first line anymore. Everybody says whatever,
Yeah.
Z minus. They had 3 second lines and a third line. That was how the lines were constructed in the way that it was going the last few seasons. Now there's no one picking up the slack. The whole team is slack. The fourth line can't score the goals. They have here and there. Martin's even getting his chances, but they're not doing much. Like that's not what their job is. That's not how they're constructed.
Right.
So I don't expect that out of them. That's the same conversation as we had with Parise. I'm not expecting that out of him. That's not the problem. Now, Komarov versus Parise, like I said, is like, are there little locker room things? Are they not as tight? You you lose a Letty who's been around for a long time. You lose an Eberle that's been around for a long time. You lose Komarov who's around for a long time. Boydchuk's not around as close to the team as he was. Did they lose something? Is that bonding aspect not there anymore that was over the last 3 years? Are they not able to be as close? Um, are they just simply not, Palmieri's still new to the team. I know he went through it with them last season, but he's still new to the team. On the ice stuff's very different than just kind of general camaraderie. Did they lose something? It's
I don't really buy that. I think that that locker room is largely the same. I don't think anything changes in
But
that
you're talking
aspect.
about big you're talking
I
about
think
big pieces. You're talking about guys that have been there. This isn't just some guy, a random player leaving. I'm not calling
no, I
Peugeot a random
understand.
player, but he's simply not been there as long. There's
No,
some
I
guys that have
understand.
really built this up over the years, and I'm not look, I think there's all these little pieces. That's what I'm trying to figure out what are all the little pieces adding up to a team that's largely the same playing like shit. That's
I
that's more of my point.
I just don't buy it because you know the way it's supposed to go is right. If you lose key pieces like the Islanders did in Eberle and Letty, the reason why that those guys were let go of is because they're supposed to be those next guys stepping up, and that mentality and that rigor is supposed to be reciprocated in those younger players who are coming through the pipeline, and they thought that they were ready. Meaning, management thought that they were ready to take that next step, and it's kind
But
of
they didn't
showing.
think that. I think they tried to replace them with guys with if you're just talking about experience, Chara came in, he's
Well,
Chara.
yes, but Lou's
Parise
been
came
on.
in, he's 37.
I
Like
understand, but that's not my point. Lou has been on the record saying that when they signed Chara, it wasn't a Chara was replacing Letty. They
no,
thought it was
no.
Dobson replacing Letty. So that's my point. My point here is though these younger guys, Dobson and Wallstrom, they're the guys who were expected to keep that mentality going and that rigor going that Letty and Eberle brought. Now, whether they're being given the chance to do so or not is a different conversation. And I think that they're different situations for each player, right? Dobson's playing like 20 minutes a night. He's getting that chance, and he's going with it. Wallstrom, you could argue, is not. And I saw this interesting post today about Keandre Miller with the New York Rangers and how he's given 20 minutes a night. And although he's not perfect and he does make mistakes, and it's not like it's occasional, he makes mistakes. He also does so many things well that it's encouraging for the New York Rangers to see that out of Keandre Miller, and those things will work themselves out. It was a really good thread. I forget his name, but if you could find it on Keandre Miller, it was just really interesting to see how Gerard Gallant is utilizing a young guy like Miller, who's 20 years old, in his first season in the NHL, getting 20 minutes a night, and although he's contributing to some key plays that lead to wins, he's also making mistakes, but it's growing pains for him. And yet the Rangers are successful first in the division and a playoff team.
I don't know
And
that those things are mutually exclusive, but I do understand what you're saying, and that would be my argument for fucking play Sallow.
Wallstrom. I think that there is a reason that there's so much focus on the little things that Wallstrom does wrong that I don't think there's enough focus on. It's almost like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't,
Well, they're
right?
afraid to put him in any kind of position where he may fail. So that means they're also taking opportunities away from him to be successful.
Right. So the thing is, for me, it looks like he's getting shit for when he doesn't do the small things right, but he's not getting praised enough for when he does the things that he's supposed to do
Publicly
right.
anyway.
Maybe that's true.
And
Maybe
I think
publicly,
what we
but at
think
the
is
same
that he
time,
deserves more playing time, and that might not be the one for one thing as far as
maybe.
Trotz is concerned.
But at the same time, y- it's I don't. Not every player and every person is the same, but some people might, especially a young guy like Wallstrom, might look at what's going on in the media and take it to heart, take it personally, and take those healthy scratches to heart, take it personally, grip the stick a little tighter, and not really understand, how what the healthy scratch was for, right? It worked for Dobson. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for Wallstrom.
I mean,
So
defenders take a little bit longer. I understand what you're saying. I think it's a little different. I'm not sure. I think it's a roster construction thing where, and here's the problem, right? I think what we were worried about is that this team was going to work until it didn't. The way that they were running it, the way it was going to work until it just didn't one day. And we were all going to be really excited about the way that the Islanders played, and we didn't care if it was boring hockey and blah blah blah. But and then you have a game tonight where they're so just not a hockey team at this point.
yeah,
In a game that's every game going forward is meaningful, and we talked about what the record they would need in last night's post game. They're clearly not capable of that. Even Butch, for the first time, he was just very dejected in this broadcast and was like, "Yeah, that's not happening this season. It doesn't look like they're going to be able to turn it around." And so it's being recognized. This isn't like, that has to be part of the conversation if they plan on even doing anything remote. Like I said, I don't want to say drastic, but like something needs to happen. Like they
yeah,
can't just be like, I don't know, run it back. And that seems to be it. Like they're just
yeah,
running it back. And that's, like I said, it worked for, 2 weird seasons in a row. It worked for them. You can put caveats and asterisks on that. I think that's worth it because they were like launched into the playoffs where they were going to be successful just by the way that they played. Slight roster tweaks and a full 82 game season, and it's just not clicking anymore. Something is being lost between the coach and the players. Um, so I don't know what that change needs to be. I don't want to think that it's Trotz, right? Like that doesn't make sense to me. Um, he also, like he can't go out there and play for them.
right,
He can't score goals for them, right? Like they have to be responsible to a certain point. He has the pedigree. He got them to where they're successful, where they should be proud of what happened over the last 3 years. It's the players on the ice. I think
right.
that like that's the problem. Now, sandwiched between, sandwiching Trots is the players on the ice not playing well, but lack of any kind of creativity by Lou, maybe exacerbated by Trotz not playing a Salo, not giving Wallstrom more minutes, um, playing Bellows next to Peugeot and Parise and trying to get Wallstrom up the lineup a little bit. I think Palmieri is playing great. He's not doing what we want him to do, which is score goals, but he's out there like a bull in a china shop, and fuck, that's fine. I mean, go out there and at least bang bodies and look interested in playing, right? Like, don't look like you're just disassociated from making millions of, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. Like, go out there and fucking play hockey.
Yeah,
The players, fuck, Barzell looked like dog shit tonight.
yeah.
He looked fucking terrible.
Yeah,
So
that
like
was going to be my next point.
and that's yeah. So sorry to take, but like, I move things around, figure it out. Like, you do line blenders like when you're after the team's playing like shit. Give them something for like reward Wallstrom for 2 games with goals in both of them. Like something.
Yeah,
I don't know what's happening. Like I don't like I said, I don't think Trotz is the problem as far as the systems, but something's not clicking and like the lack of creativity that he and Lou have just gets like they double down on it. And then the players on the ice, when it doesn't work, they don't know what to do.
yeah,
They're shuffling decks on the chairs on the deck of the Titanic, and not getting to a rescue boat, like not do whatever that thing is, right?
no,
You can't just keep running it back. I don't care if you sit Green. I don't care if you sit Dobson or Pellick. Something. Do something. Try anything. Now that you have pull up back, do something.
we're going to talk about lines in a blender, but before we do that, we're going to take a moment and hear from our sponsors. The moment we've been waiting for since September is finally here. In honor of the big game, DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56, is giving customers 56 to 1 odds on either team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in New York, meaning you can bet from almost a third of the country. If Sportsbook isn't in your state yet, play DraftKings Daily Fantasy Football Contest for Super Bowl 56. New customers can get a free shot at $1 million top prize with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use promo code THPN, and get 56-1 odds on either team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 56. 21 and older, minimum age and location requirements vary by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for a full list of requirements and state-specific responsible gaming resources. Void where prohibited. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In Tennessee, call or text the TN Red Line 1-800-889-9789. In Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. Nassau Hockey is also brought to you by Manscaped. Roses are red, violets are blue. Don't let wild hairs wreck you. Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and our sponsors at Manscaped are here with the best tools to get you ready for the special occasion. This Valentine's Day, it's time to join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. With our exclusive offer, go to manscaped.com and use promo code NHP20 for 20% off and free shipping. The holidays went by so quickly. Did you shore up your grooming game routine with the best tools for the job? The Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped is just the thing every guy needs in their life to make sure each and every day is a little more special. The number one product in this package is the Lawnmower 4.0. This electric trimmer is designed to trim hair on loose skin. And get this, the trimmer's advanced skin-safe technology reduces cuts, nicks, and everything else on your body. It even has a 400K LED spotlight so you can shave in the dark. Did I mention that it's waterproof too? Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts with the Performance Package 4.0. Their Shed Travel Bag and Anti-Chafing Boxer Briefs to keep you comfy everywhere. Trust me, they're a big hit. Wearing them right now, and I love them. Get 20% off and free shipping with promo code NHP20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code NHP20. Join Cupid and shoot your arrow with Manscaped this Valentine's Day. All right, so let's talk about lines in a blender. Before we do that real quick, just some comments from Barry Trotz's postgame. He said that this was one of the most disappointing games he's coached since he's been with the Islanders. Says our level of desire today wasn't very good. Brock Nelson added that this was a must-win game. It needed those 2 points, and I couldn't agree more with that sentiment. Now, you know, and Barry Trotz adds, "I'm pissed off."
I was gonna say that's the comment.
Right yeah, I don't blame him for being pissed off. He absolutely should be. And look, here's the thing. I do see some comments saying, he should go. Wouldn't be surprised if there's a coaching change, yada yada. Listen, that's not going to happen, right? We've had this discussion already. Most of what's going on right now isn't on Trotz. There are things that Trotz could do to change what's going on, but most of this is not on them, on him. It's on the guys on the ice, in my opinion. Now that being said, he could put these lines in a blender, right? The past few nights he's trotted out the same lineup. The first line with Bailey, Barzell, and Lee. The second line of Beauvillier, Nelson, and Palmieri. In my opinion, when Bailey had those few games with Nelson and Beauvillier, it was a rejuvenated Killer Bees line. They looked pretty good. I would maybe try and go back to that. And judging based off of the comments tonight from Trotz, maybe over the next couple of days, I don't know if they're going to practice or not because it's a break. I'm pretty sure everybody's going to be, except for Pellick, away from the rink. But when they come back Monday, I wouldn't be surprised to see if there's a juggling of the lines. And I don't know if it's enough to just change one guy on each line and keep a duo. In the past, Trotz has said that he's a duos guy, and I get it, but I think it's now time to really change things up. Talking you know, make a third line. The centers are going to stay, but you got to change what's around the centers. I'm talking put Peugeot with Palmieri and Bailey, like you said yesterday. Put Nelson with Wallstrom and
And
uh
Beauvillier.
and Beauvillier or Parise, whatever. And first line, have Barzell with either Wallstrom or maybe Lee goes on the second line. There's a whole slew of combinations you can do.
They're true. You're just going through this. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay.
And I'm not, that I'm not the biggest proponent of just like go get somebody big and whatever. God, we keep like I think it's really just shuffling shit here. They're missing a player. They're
Listen,
missing Jordan Eberle or
oh, I
like that. Not even like again. It doesn't need to be Tarasenko or Panarin or obviously those guys are good and it would help, right? Like I don't think we're denying that. I'm also trying to just be realistic on what could actually happen or whatever. God, that like it was clear they weren't missing Lee last offseason. That they got through it. They figured it out. They got with the grit, like they had it on the team that Lee brings to the table, the leadership, the veteran presence. Now they got Lee back, but they're missing another kind of playmaking player like Eberle. And it
right.
really makes this lineup not as deep. They were like you can fill in based on kind of what you're saying and trying to move around players to fit together really well, the duos or the whatever. Komarov on the first line isn't ideal. That's 100% correct. At the same time, he was doing the lead thing. Anybody, not anybody, but like that's an easier role to fill
No, yeah.
if you had to. The Eberle one is not. It's fucking super clear. It's not.
No, yeah, I understand. It's
And
just
so I think
at
you're
this
like you're.
point of the season, though. At this point of the season,
It's
right?
just hard to think about it and not be like you could do whatever you want.
No, I
And
agree.
like I don't know that it matters,
The
which
thing is,
sucks.
the only thing that's going to happen right now is shuffling the lines. They're not going to make a trade for the sake of making a trade. If they
Oh
make a
no.
trade, it's going to have to be something that makes sense. It's going to have to be a hockey trade. So if it's a Chikrin or if it's a Brock Besser whose name is said to be available in Vancouver, right? If those things happen, it's for not this season. It's an investment. So and those are harder deals to come by. Those are so few and far between, and they take a while to transpire. Now, listen, maybe something is transpiring behind closed doors that none of us know about. Maybe. But as of right now, from at least from what I've heard, nothing. Right now, nothing. Radio silence. It's, you know, keeping tabs on Chikrin, and that's really about it. So I don't think, the St. Louis Blues right now, although Tarasenko's trade offer still stands, or I'm sorry, trade request still stands, they're playing well. He's playing well.
I don't think
They're not
anything
going to
happens
move
till the
him.
offseason. I
Nothing's going to
honestly
happen. Right. And that's why I
I don't
say
think it's I
you
think we're
have to
just
do
yeah.
you have to shuffle the lines. You have to shuffle the lines. You have to give, guys with lesser roles an increased role who are going to be part of the future.
Yeah, there's no
And
reason at this point to play guys that might not be around. Play Bellows
right,
over Parise. It doesn't fucking matter if you win.
right,
It doesn't like you
exactly.
start
And
playing guys to do it.
if you're invested in Beauvillier, keep him with Barzell. Put him on the first line. Throw Walsham up there too.
I
That
say move Lee down back with Nelson and Bailey, a little bit of a veteran line. And yeah, Bavillier, Barzell, Wallstrom.
that's a good line, right? That gives that line, an outlook for the future because that's what you're doing right now, right?
But also
It-
take the leash off of them a little bit. Like
sure,
you
take the
gotta
leash
let
off.
them. Like I
You gotta
said
let him
last night,
play.
let them play. Make it. Don't. It's not pond hockey, but
No,
like
I know.
go out there and do their thing.
Right.
Like
The
let
thing
them
is,
be. Like they taught Ovechkin to do it. They really started. All these players are really young when they got involved with Trotz. It wasn't like Ovechkin was in the league for like 10 years before Trotz came along.
yeah,
They get the defensive part. They'll do it.
right. No,
You gotta loosen the leash a little bit.
I agree. Now the thing is, you give these guys, the younger guys, the Bavilliers, the Wallstroms, the Bellows, those guys, if they're part of your future, give them more time on ice because obviously where this season is right now, listen, they're not going to make the playoffs. All right,
Yeah.
so give those guys the ice time. Let them come into next season with more confidence, ready to play. That's what's got to happen moving forward. Let Salo play over Chara. Let Salo play over Green. These things need to happen. You need to know what you're going to have for the future. And I'll say this again: there's no tanking, right? They're not gonna throw intentionally, uh, and there's also not gonna be a quote unquote rebuild, right? They're gonna retool and they're gonna expect to come back next season and they're gonna expect to compete,
Yeah, they're
and that's
bad by
why
accident.
they're
They're
bad by
not. This
accident.
isn't.
That's a good
This isn't
point,
on purpose.
right? And
Like
and that's
this,
why it's
which is
important.
harder to digest.
Right, and that's why it's important for Wallstrom, Bellows, Sallow, Bavillier. If they're part of your future, they need to play. These third line minutes and sheltered minutes, enough is enough with that, right? They have to get this experience. They have to
It's
play out their kinks.
it's a bit baptism by fire.
Right.
There's just no reason to go at it like you're going along like it's a marathon and you're going game by game and who's ever going is going to be up and sometimes it's Bellows and sometimes it's Parise and this and that.
Right.
There's just yeah, there's absolutely no reason for that anymore. Let everybody play. I'm not sure what else you can do. Shuffle the lines a little bit and get creative, like I said.
Yeah.
And yeah. I mean, I think the players understand what's happening here too, right? Like I think they have to get the sense that Lou, for all of his if you have time, use it. I don't know that he has a ton of patience for just like not being good.
Yeah.
So, like, they have to be feeling a little bit. Like, Trotz is a really good coach. The expectations are high. They're hearing it from the fans now at UBS Arena. You know, I don't know if you saw the Brock Nelson quote, but he's like, "Yeah, we haven't supported Varlamov,"
Right.
and then um, I hope this guy's name is actually Phil, but like Phil's facts, he tweeted something, and I've lost it now as far as okay. Said since the COVID pause, the guy with the 933 save percentage has gotten 2.1 goals per game, while the guy with the 920 has gotten 3.15 goals per game. I don't know why this happens, but it's one of the most bizarre trends I've ever seen. Should not be going 3-5-1 with a 933 goaltending.
Yeah.
And
That's a good
that's a
point.
problem, right? It's
Sure.
just super not the goaltending, which probably means it's not the defense either, by and
Right.
large. I
Let's
think
talk
they can
about
add some injection into
yeah.
the offense by not having a Chara out there, and um, you got to add some other kind of dynamic player there. But yeah,
Let's talk
offense
about
not
the
doing their job.
goaltending real quick because again, largely not their fault for the reasons why the Islanders are losing. But what's up with the sharp angle goals that are being allowed?
I think it's the full. It's part of the full team not being focused.
Could be. That's a good point.
So I think that's just like the whole team's going out there. That's you don't need to cover that guy in the McCann in the corner like that.
Right.
Now, Varlamov didn't track the puck. You have to give credit to Eberle by just making a good pass and retrieving that puck behind the net on a board battle. That's just a one on one. He just wins that battle. There's no reason for that. A lot of these
Absolutely.
a lot of these plays, like if you're Pulak in the slot, even was it last night? Did the Senators scored last night? It was one of those goals recently where yeah, I guess it was last night on Tuesday against the Senators, where you'd like him to put a little more pressure on whoever that player was that scored the goal, but he shouldn't be scoring from there.
Right.
He should be blocking the pass. Let the goalie play the shot.
Right.
He should be doing that. You want to see Pulak be a little more aggressive there. You kind
No,
of just like
you're right.
let the guy stand there, but and shoot, just kind of like have his whatever. But you got to support your goalie, like something.
No,
Rush the
yeah.
shot, make him make a bad play. It's unacceptable. You
Right.
know,
And even Trotz, he was asked about these sharp angle goals, and he's like, "Listen, they have to be stopped." He goes, "But I give up those shots 10 out of 10 times every night. Like those aren't expected to go in, and those are for some reason or another finding the back of the net. So, I don't think it's anything overly drastic that we need to change in our game as far as those goals. It's just maybe being a little bit more attentive to the play in front of you, even if it's going to be a surprise from the corner against the boards, because for some reason or another they are going in. But Islanders drop 3-0 tonight against the Kraken. It is now the All-Star break. Only Adam Pelech will play in the coming days as the Islanders All-Star. So congratulations to him. Well deserved. The last thing I want to talk about before we end the episode tonight, John, is the continued debate between Jordan Eberle and Kyle Palmieri. Interesting fact. Now in another game has passed, and 16 games for Kyle Palmieri without a goal. Now, that leads a lot of fans to, pretty much own up to the fact that they wish that they kept Jordan Eberle. We want Jordan Eberle back, right? Well, the grass isn't always greener because it's now 21 games for Jordan Eberle without a goal. And it's easy to forget, but this is the kind of player that Jordan Eberle was as well. He was a streaky goal scorer who did not show up often, and there's an argument to be made here, right? Well, Eberle's he could make plays, he could drive play, and if he's not putting the puck in the net, he at least helps drive that offense. Maybe that's true. I don't necessarily think that Kyle Palmieri is doing anything less than what Jordan Eberle would have been doing. Now I understand Eberle has a ton more goals this season. I think he has 12. But it's been 21 games since Jordan Eberle has scored. So, there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think it's when they were both in the lineup, it was very good. The lines were very well balanced. Again,
Yeah.
I understand Lee wasn't there, but that type of player is a lot easier to fill in with Guy. It could have
Yeah.
been Parise this season for all we cared. I'm not saying get rid of Lee. That's not what I'm saying.
No.
But the lineup that was in the playoffs last year worked, even with Zajac, right, or Wallstrom, whatever was kind of
True.
happening at the time, and you would have liked to see Wallstrom again. They lost by one shorthanded goal. You would have liked to see Wallstrom in those games. Don't just play the veterans because it's a thing. Do the thing like that's actively going to win you games, right? Like I don't know that sometimes it's. I mean, I guess you get all the way to game 7. Not to relitigate that. So like something worked with that lineup. I guess if Wallstrom wasn't playing, something worked. But yeah, I don't know that debate is necessarily worth it. Although you'd think that Eberle next to Barzal would be different than Eberle next to whoever he's playing within Seattle. Like the chemistry is just not there. The pressure on Eberle at this point is also a lot different than it would be on Long Island.
Right.
Right. Like he's being depended on as a goal scorer where, yeah, he was on the first line with Barzal, but like the whole thing, the whole dynamic is different on this team where not that you're not expected to score a ton of goals, but if you're streaky, yeah, you're only scoring. I don't want to make up a number. You're scoring 5 goals a month or what if you're going to score 20 goals, like how often are you really scoring in an 82 game season? You're scoring
Right.
once every 4 games. If every line has a guy or 2 or 3 scoring a goal every 4 games like they were the last few seasons and only winning 2 and 3 by, scoring 2 and 3 goals a game, maybe a little bit more, that fucking works.
Right.
But if you're depending on a few players to score all your fucking goals, yeah, it's not going to work. So that's kind of what's happening in Seattle, and that's exactly what's happening on Long Island. Is
Yep.
you have 2 guys. I mean, I understand Barzal and Wallstrom have 10 goals. Nelson is leading the team, and then you also have Lee. But that's 4 guys. There's 12. There's 12 guys on the team. That's one guy a line scoring every 4 games. 1 goal every 4 games.
Yeah.
That's not fucking enough.
Nope.
Like, full stop. Like, this is not a thing that can happen.
Right.
How many does Bavillier have? 5?
7? I think it's 7.
Okay. I mean, it's a little, that's marginally better. But that's still a joke. He played 40 games this season. He's scored in a 6th of them.
Yeah. It's not great.
That's great math. I'm really proud of myself on that.
You're a math guy now.
I'm a math guy now. Fuck. I'm gonna damn it. So like I think that's kind of my problem is you have guys scoring not even once every 5 games or so. on average. And that's 4 or 5 guys
Yeah,
scoring goals. Like, yeesh.
not a great look.
No, and you're just not going to be successful like that.
No, you are not. Well,
You're looking at what the team this season, what they're, because they in these other seasons, what's different is, yeah, they had these moments where they struggled and it was like 4 or 5 games and you kind of get down. But they also had like 10 games in a row where you're like, wow, they're beating bad teams, they're beating good teams.
it could beat anybody.
They could beat anybody. Like they're doing it all sorts of ways. They're coming back, they're doing it up front. They're just playing a solid 60 minutes. We've seen none of that.
No.
You can sit there and say, "Oh, the last 10 games are 7-2-1 and they've played bullshit teams, some of them multiple times."
Yeah.
You look at their schedule in January. You look at their record in January. They lost, I think, 4 games.
Yeah, they were playing really well.
Okay, on the surface, that's it. They all the 4 the 4 games they played Philly 3 times.
True.
Keep it in mind. They played the Devils twice.
Something like
Once.
that. I think so.
Okay, so that's 5 games. It's almost half your games in the month. And the 4 games they lost all to teams in playoff position that are good teams.
Yeah.
They didn't just lose. Save the Wild game. The other games they like really fucking lost.
Yep.
And they're like, they didn't deserve to win. I know they came back in LA and this thing. No. They're not playing good hockey against good teams. And now they're playing down to opponents.
Yeah.
Even last night, like I think we have wildly different versions of how that went. I really don't think last night went any better. I think they just played the Senators. And they finally got some goal support.
Maybe it just looked better because of how poorly they played.
Yeah, I mean, like, oh, the Wild game, and then they come in and beat the Senators. Like, did we lower the bar all of a sudden?
It's possible.
I'm not gonna sit here and be one of those like participation trophy. Like, are we lowering the bar? Is that what we're doing? Like, they beat a team they should, and we're supposed to be like, oh, they can really turn it around now. It's like, no, I don't think they played very well last night. They just played a really shitty team without their leading scorers.
And
that
maybe
was
that's
a tighter game than I think the score led on.
Yeah, maybe that's fair. Maybe, just because of how bad they've played, when they play slightly better and still not good, it just seems like it's better because of how piss poor the product has been on the ice. So
yeah, and then when you have a game like the Wild,
yeah,
and all you can sit there and say, well, that was probably their best game of this, full 60 minutes, probably the best game of the season.
still didn't even get a
Dude,
point.
in almost February, pack it in, dude. Pack it the fuck in. This isn't it. This isn't the one. Prove me wrong, right? Like, go 35-2-1 the rest of the way. Like,
Yeah,
I'll shut right the fuck up. But go ahead, do it. Prove me wrong. Like,
it's a fair point. It's definitely a fair point. And now it's the All-Star break. That means after the All-Star break is over, we will be just about a month away from the trade deadline. They start a Canada trip after the All-Star break is over. They head to Vancouver, then hit Edmonton, Calgary, and I think back down to Buffalo, home for a few days, and then largely on the road for most of February and then until March. So we'll see how it plays out. We'll see if they make a move at the deadline or if they decide not to. Maybe they sell, maybe they stand pat. But then after that, listen, season's pretty much going to be wrapped up. At this point, it's pretty unlikely they're going to make the playoffs. We'll see how all of this plays out. An unfortunate loss tonight against the Seattle Kraken. Not what you want to see. Any closing thoughts for you, John?
I just saw the Isles Magic number kind of go through my Twitter feed really quick as you were talking, and it says Washington loss moves the Isles number to 92 points. So I tweeted through our account, watch the Isles will back into a playoff spot in spectacular car crash fashion.
They'll only get in because of how bad everybody else is playing around them.
Somehow it's honestly, it's gonna be a lot like last season where they beat, like, one good team all season. I think it was Boston where they actually had a good record against them.
Yeah, they won like 6 or 7 games against
Yeah, it
them.
was ridiculous. And mostly because I think they had, like, the e-bug in for most of those games. But, I'm just very not in the mood apparently for the
Facetious.
Islanders tonight. Um, so, like, they pretty much backed into the playoffs last year too. Like, they didn't, like, play crappy all season and just manage to be in a spot, but, like, yeah, they were playing Philly a bunch of times and the Devils a bunch of times and Buffalo a bunch of times, and yeah, that was, probably gonna happen. They were gonna make the playoffs unless, like, they played shitty enough. They, like, lost 2 more games. I don't know, they may have been out.
Right.
So, watch that same thing happen this year where they, like, beat enough good teams down the stretch and watch them beat Boston and Washington and, like, make it by a point.
So suddenly it's like, wait, how did they get into the first wild card spot? I don't
Right, yeah, it's like something magic, like, I don't wish anything ill on any, like, player or
No,
team or
of
whatever,
course.
like, but yeah, watch them just, like, ass backwards fall into a
And
playoff
then go on
spot
another playoff run, and
and go
everybody's
on
like, "This is
another
the best
run.
team
Jesus
ever."
Christ, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. I would not be able to handle that
They
because
extend Parise for another 5 years.
oh my god, I don't even know.
Let's end the show before it gets any more ridiculous. I want to say thank you to DraftKings. Use that THPN promo code and use that NHP20 promo code with Manscaped. Thank you to Hockey Podcast Network and to Isles Fix, and of course all of you our listeners. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to or watch the show. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Nassman Hockey. You can also join our Discord for a safe space to chat with fellow Islander fans. Right now, they're all talking. I see it popping up all on my feed at the bottom of my computer in Discord, and everybody's not happy. Uh,
Surprise.
you can go join them and be not happy with them.
Go yeah, misery loves company, and the Islanders are fucking full of it.
Oh yeah. Lastly, you can find my work at the fourth period and John's work at the Hockey Writers, as well as subscribe to Isles Fix. There will be another one coming out tomorrow. Think that there is not going to be one on Friday just because there's not going to be much to talk about because of the break. But until next time, everybody, let's go Islanders.